the show. Happy Wednesday. Good to see Michael Loftus is back. Yeah. Here he is getting food from the same place he gets his clothes. Yeah. The only thing worse than Loftus's clothes is when he's not wearing any. And I know. And the judge has joined us. Judge Janine. Just made it here in time. Here is she arriving at the studio. When we say here comes the judge, it's a warning. But sadly, we have some breaking news. Our 11 p.m. competition over at MSNBC is quitting. Oh, no. Oh, stop it. Sad time, Judge.
Aww.
Yes, after being regularly shellacked by this little juggernaut of a show, Brian Williams announced he got tired of losing, and announced he's leaving the network. Shocking.
Yeah.
Don't stop it. The more you clap, the less I talk. But who knew he was still employed? But let's be honest, he's not leaving without racking up some key achievements. Sure, he was known to fabricate stuff, but in the writing world, it's known as poetic license. In the news world, it's known as being a dishonest sack of But he still had quite the resume, especially when you hear it from him.
I had an illustrious career. Voted People magazine's sexiest man alive from 1980 to 1990. All while leading the Pittsburgh Steelers to 4 straight Super Bowls. I couldn't have done it without my wife, Angelina Jolie, and my other wife, Cleopatra, who I married in a secret seance in the lost city of Atlantis. I'll finish my memoirs, which will focus on my discovery of the polio vaccine and my charity work feeding orphans inside a volcano I made out of pillows. Good night, and good luck. By the way, Edward R. Murrow stole that from me.
So as you know, there's a trial going on for Kyle Rittenhouse, but it seems to be collapsing like Brian Stelter after doing 2 jumping jacks. A quick recap. It began with the police shooting of a violent knife-wielding felon in Kenosha, Wisconsin back in August 2020. Following 3 days of riots and property destruction, or what CNN would call peaceful protests, Rittenhouse traveled to Kenosha armed with a rifle, publicly stating his mission was to protect businesses and victims. In the ensuing melee, he shot and killed 2 people and wounded a 3rd. The state of Wisconsin alleges he's a murderer. His defenders and anybody with an IQ over 15 describe it as self-defense. And if you listen to the clueless prosecution, they're pretty much proving it was self-defense too. I haven't seen someone this inept in court since Michael Avenatti. As legal expert James Gagliano in the New York Post points out, with video footage from the scene and witness accounts, murder remains an impossible charge to prove. Now, I've not watched much of the actual trial. I don't have time, what with having 2 hit shows and my night job as a bouncer at JoJo's Leather and Latex Tea House, where I met the judge. So let's see how the media portrays Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the armed teenage vigilante.
Rittenhouse is basically what you would have had in a school shooter. He was going out to shoot people.
Just running around, shooting and killing protesters.
A 17-year-old vigilante, arguably a domestic terrorist, a white, Trump-supporting, MAGA-loving.
Who was radicalized by Trumpism, took his AR-15 to Kenosha and became a killer.
It's amazing how they can sound exactly the same, but uniquely stupid in their own way. Especially that last guy. There's something wrong with him. But you know, if I didn't know any better, I think they were all actors working from the same script. One where they started with the ending, then changed every other word to racist. They're more predictable than a Three's Company marathon. But here's something from my favorite CNN legal analyst.
What kind of idiot 17-year-old
gets a giant gun and goes to a riot. He has no license. He has no training. He thinks he's going to scrub graffiti off with his AR-15. I mean, the stupidity of this is like, what could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot went wrong.
That's a kick. Tubin said you have to be more responsible before you whip something out. But he should know if you point something at people, there's a chance it'll go off. What a dip. Anyway, meanwhile, an ABC News summary focused on the lone survivor of Rittenhouse's actions, like he was some Navy SEAL hunted by the Taliban, rather than pursuing Rittenhouse. It was a great narrative until you get to the last few graphs of ABC's coverage, and you find this.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
Whoops. So the guy wounded by Rittenhouse admits he was pointing his gun at Rittenhouse when he was shot. That's no tiny detail. If someone walks towards me with a gun drawn, it's either a threat or I've wandered into Dana Perino's yard. Look at the prosecutors when the story didn't go as planned. It's the same reaction my doctor has when I remove my pants. This trial blew up in their faces like an Antifa-made pipe bomb. Maybe they should have worn masks. But forget the laughable prosecution. What's concerning is how the media portrays the actual facts. The witness, Gage Grosskreutz, lied about having a gun, then admits he pointed a loaded gun at Rittenhouse. Gage, which is a bad name to have in a firearms case. It's like being named Glock or Caliber or Alec Baldwin. He turned out to be a terrible witness for the prosecution. But that's not how the media is covering it. To them, it's not self-defense at all. It's got to be murder, open and shut. Because as usual, they are as crooked as an Auntie Anne's pretzel with scoliosis. So if Rittenhouse is found not guilty, how will the activist class react who were spoon-fed the false media narrative? Let's put it this way. Home Depot is going to have a run on plywood from small business owners. It's almost as if the media wants to prime the rioters to think Rittenhouse got away with murder. And why? Well, it keeps them from ever admitting they're wrong. They run from facts like Hunter Biden runs from a baby mama. But it guarantees more violence, which they see as restorative justice and ratings, too. Brian Williams picked the wrong time to retire. Fact is, it was the media's embrace of the riots while condemning the police that led to more unbridled violence. And when there's no law enforcement, who fills that gap? I'll give you a hint. It's not social workers or mental health experts. It's people like Kyle Rittenhouse. It was the media's emboldening of criminality they deemed necessary to punish our evil, racist society. And cowardly politicians responded with policies that sponsored this unsafe world. So why wouldn't some citizens step up to protect others? Who else, if not you? Rittenhouse and others like him, that's who. When you leave people with no options, this is what you're gonna get. So maybe Rittenhouse acted in self-defense. But how did the media act? Well, they're not on trial. But if they were, it would take a jury 5 minutes to bring in a verdict of guilty. Welcome tonight, guest. She bought an encyclopedia just to throw at people. All right. Host of Dunsinine Bureau. Wow, I'm all over the place. She's more bubbly than a bottle of champagne shaken in a paint mixer. Fox Business correspondent Susan Lee. He's got something to say, and it's probably, I didn't bathe today. The LoftusParty.com founder, Michael Loftus. And her cat is tired of cleaning her litter box. Fox News contributor, Cat Tim. I meant to say you brought an encyclopedia because you like throwing the book at people, but it came out of my mouth garbled, much like the prosecutor. What did you make of the prosecutor today, Judge? Insane.
Well, you know, the prosecutor was so damaged by Rittenhouse taking the stand. Mm-hmm. And the prosecutor, in fact, was damaged before Rittenhouse even took the stand because the main prosecution witness, understand, 2 people are dead. One person was shot at and injured by Rittenhouse, who said, yeah, I had a loaded gun and I was actually going toward Kyle, which is a classic scenario where you actually say, I'm entitled to use deadly physical force when deadly physical force is confronting me. So here you've got a case where the DA indicted this kid 48 hours after the crime. That means they did no investigation. This is in the aftermath of George Floyd. It's in the aftermath of Jacob Blake shooting. It's in the middle of a riot when the police are basically standing down, and you have this kid who's a police explorer, he's a fire cadet, he's a certified CPR kid. I mean, he's a kid who's trying to, go in and do some good things. And
I tell people I'm a CPR instructor, but I've never really taken the course.
Have you practiced it on them?
I'll do what I can, Judge. What I can. I'm not picky.
Yeah.
Susan, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's it?
You've never practiced CPR on me, thank God.
Well, not that you're aware of. I don't even know what that means. And let's not pursue that, shall we? A sexist would say something like, Susan, have you been watching this? I mean, what I find interesting is the prosecution is trying to say he had no right to self-defense. Even though he was beaten with a skateboard, he had a gun pointed at him. And the prosecutor actually said, well, they never shot you. You have to be shot in order to fight back.
Right. All true.
Yes.
But I don't want to make him a hero because he's not, right? You shouldn't
Okay.
be transporting firearms across state lines. You shouldn't have been there in the first place. But I think you're right. I mean, all this lawlessness and this chaos, it motivates these vigilantes like Kyle Rittenhouse. So what was he supposed to do, right?
I don't know. See, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about, okay, so going across state lines sounds like he, took Amtrak, but it's like it's where he works, it's where his dad lives.
Yeah,
so it's
like,
close.
It's 15 minutes. He went there every day. That's where he worked.
And so I'm thinking, okay, if I were 17 and I realized that my city was going to hell, and I was a young kid who was trying to do good things.
No, you would not.
What? Oh, really?
You absolutely not.
What would I do?
You don't like going out in public.
That's true.
You're not going to go as a child and get an AR-15.
But that, I don't know. I mean,
and that's good because that's good. I mean, I agree. Look, obviously this was self-defense. It's ridiculous to say it's anything but self-defense. You can also say that being a 17-year-old kid that's like, all right, school's out. I know what I'm doing on Tuesday. I'm gonna go get an AR-15. Like, kind of weird, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not a mom, but I would not want my kids playing with that kid.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I would say, like, if my kid, little Billy Gutfeld, was grabbing an AR-15 and had I'd go, Billy, no. I'll buy you some Chick-fil-A and we'll watch Baywatch.
Doesn't mean he's
That's
a murderer.
an old reference. But if he was truly earnest and believed that he was trying to help people, right? I mean,
I don't think he has to be a hero in order for it to be self-defense.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important point to
that's a
make.
good point.
That he just, thank you. I've got so many of them. Stressful.
You have so many voices in your head telling you these things.
Oh, that is true too. But again, self-defense, you don't have, that's why the Constitution's there for a reason. You don't have to be this upstanding person in order to be able to defend yourself against somebody that is literally in the act of trying to shoot you.
That's a good point. Okay, Loftus, it's good to see you stop by Goodwill on the way over here.
Oh, you're so mean
I'm getting the deals. I'm like a seal in a dumpster up in this bitch.
You would make a decent living, and you're taking clothes that would be, a transient could have worn.
Maybe did.
You wear them after the transients are done with them.
Yeah, it's true. Like, all the clothes that you wear belong to people who are no longer living.
And it throws the search dogs off. Everybody wins.
What's your take on this?
I love this kid.
Okay.
And it goes back to what you were saying. This is what happens when there's lawlessness.
Well, she said that.
I said that.
But when you don't have
credit.
When you don't credit where credit is due. But when you don't have the police stepping up and everybody's just watching things burn, what? Citizens aren't going to step forward and try to do?
It's the last refuge. It's the Second Amendment.
Absolutely. And shame on the FBI. They had footage that exonerated this kid that they just mysteriously found right when the.
That is the point. of what they're doing when you politicize the criminal justice system, when you don't even want to find out what the facts are, what the evidence is, so that you can indict this person that everyone on the left is saying he's a member of a militia, he's a vigilante. No, he's not a vigilante. This is a kid who went there. They got him on video. He's actually cleaning curse words on a wall that they've got video of him. He had body armor that he got from a police force when he was a police explorer or whatever, and he gave it to his friend. He didn't go there to kill anybody. He really didn't. I mean, this is a kid who's filling a gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And the FBI couldn't have, come forward with that video a little bit quicker? Or were they too busy tracking down parents at a PTA meeting?
Well, he's a domestic terrorist, and they said he was a domestic terrorist. So parents and Kyle are both domestic terrorists.
Right? That's a tough gig right now if you're the operator at the FBI. What do you got? Fentanyl? Please hold. What do you got? Domestic? Please hold. Ooh, we got a missing diary from a Biden girl. Send everyone. Send everyone you got.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I want to know what's in that diary.
Oh, yeah.
I bet there's some dream journaling, some really good dream journaling. Something about a kid in chemistry class. I'm into that stuff.
Oh.
Where am I going?
I don't know.
I should probably go to a commercial.
I like it when you narrate your own life, though.
True. It even disturbs me when I say my thoughts out loud. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.